Welcome back to the show, everybody. There is a lot to talk about. Is the XRP ledger doomed? And if not, did it just provide a pivotal moment for the Ripple SEC case and Ripple's defense? We're also going to talk about laying the foundation for XRP not being a security. That notion is getting picked up. It is the words of Gary Gensler and other SEC chairmen. It's not going away, ladies and gentlemen. There's a lot to talk about here. And we're also going to talk about the IMF economist and contributor about the idea of a synthetic hegemonic currency sitting between all the money. Somebody roll that beautiful intro.
This is Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Subscribe for new content notifications. Now, here's Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. You can follow me on Twitter at BackupBradleyAbove and everything that we're talking about here today. It is December 3rd, $2.637 trillion market cap, and we are up 1.61 on the market. Quickly through the numbers, we have a lot to go over this morning. Bitcoin, $56,800 plus. Ethereum, $4,500 plus. Solana coming in at $236 and change. Cardano is at $165, holding strong, and XRP is at 97 cents. Ladies and gentlemen, the range of price of XRP is 0.9678 on the low end and 0.9887 on the top side. The numbers are brought to you by Link2.com, private investing made simple. Ladies and gentlemen, the whole market is suppressed. The opportunity to buy, whether it is private equity or whether it is cryptocurrencies like Ripple and XRP, are really right now. It's not financial advice, but my digital perspective. And we can see here that there is less than 5,000 shares left of Ripple. Just a couple days ago, there was $1 million worth. Now we're less than 5,000 shares left. It will not last long. Are you going to be one of them? I don't know, but make sure you check it out. All right, looking right here, NBA's Rocket team up with NYDIG. Now, this is really interesting. They're going to be paid in Bitcoin. Says NBA team Houston Rockets announced that it will collaborate with the NYDIG, New York Digital Investment Group, a top player in the Bitcoin arena. NYDIG will become the exclusive partner with the Rockets across the range of cryptocurrency services. Van Eck, and this is ProCoin News. Make sure you give them a follow. I'm telling you, this is really, really a great curator for news here. Van Eck files for a digital asset mining ETF. We'll keep you up to date to what happens with that. And take a look here. This is Anthony Scaramucci, I believe it is, Skybridge Fund, and he's talking about the idea that he believes Algorand has the potential to flip Ethereum. Now, you couple that with the enormous gas fees that we know already exist. By the way, here's one that is just shared just a couple days ago from ashleydecan.eth here, and it says that it's a $125,000 gas fee. That's 43.27 whatever, Ethereum, insufficient funds. Yeah, I bet it is. Holy mother of gas fees, she says. And, obviously in fair disclosure here, we know that the gas fees are normally right around 40, 50 bucks, sometimes 75 or a few $100s. We've seen that and reported it on the show, but this is not a solution. And to the point of Anthony Scaramucci, and the volume is very, very low here, so I'm not going to play it for you, but he absolutely is bullish on the idea, and they're invested in it, obviously, too. But he says the tech is better all the way around, and it is an Ethereum killer. And so is Cardano, right? And so is the XRP ledger. All of these things really add up to the notion that Ethereum is more like an AOL of crypto, the way AOL was in the early days of the internet. Hugely successful, but it's not here today unless you're just holding an email address from it, which I think eventually is the representation of you may have an ERC20 token on a network, but you're probably using some kind of a side chain to get around the idea of these gas fees. Or some other solution. Looking right here, there was a lot of trouble with the XRP ledger and nodes, and we're going to go through that and just cover it really quickly here because there's a lot to talk about before we get out of here today, like economist and IMF contributor talking about the notion of Mark Carney's suggestion that a synthetic hegemonic currency sit between all the money. And that is exactly what the role of XRP as a bridge asset is. And we also know that Mark Carney, in that speech for the President's Working Group, in a speech he gave at Jackson Hole, Wyoming a couple years ago, he does mention XRP serving in that role. So before we get there, though, we got to know that the XRP ledger is not doomed, right? So, and here's what I said to the chaos that was going on here. We'd say when it was showing his frustration here, talking about the Twitch, having a Ripple developer is live here. And he says, are you kidding me? The entire network is effed. All non-Ripple techies are running around in circles trying to get the network back to life. What a great moment to have an NFT hackathon. Seemed very, very sarcastic. But nevertheless, I understand the frustration that we'd say when in the XRP Labs team are working on and going through and how hard they all work. I am a huge fan of We'd Say When and everything that they're doing at the XRP Labs. First of all, I have the utmost faith that the XRP Labs team, and this is certainly above my pay grade, but two things stick out to me, ladies and gentlemen. One, I bet the Ripple private ledger for central banks is working just fine. Okay, so let's understand that. That's not affected. And it almost makes you wonder if someone's trying to attack the XRP ledger. And if not, maybe it's just the fact that there's so many people running to the XRP ledger to develop off of it because it is so efficient and scalable and cheap to do so, right? And it makes sense. And you see what's the competition? The competition is enormous gas fees. Now, I know that is an extreme example, but nonetheless, it's an example. And when we go right here, we see we got a little more clarity here from Nick Bogelis, developer working on the XRP ledger, and he explained what's going on here. And in short, this is what's happening here. He says, there's a lot going on at the moment, too much to go over in a tweet or two, but the gist is this. There are several issues at once caused in large part by issues that trace back to the software and in a smaller part by the explosive growth of trust lines on the ledger. So it's exactly the latter that we just talked about, right? And that's refreshing to me. And doesn't it make sense? I just showed you what Ethereum's doing, regardless of the unique advantage they've been given by the SEC, which needs to be investigated by the Department of Justice and the FBI. And I encourage each and every one of you to tag every one of those agencies, as I've been doing over the last couple weeks now. Now, let's move to this, because this is We'd Say When telling us what you can do to help contribute or not contribute to more problems and trust lines and bad ideas that are happening on the XRP ledger, because it is decentralized and open source technology. And this is going to lead us to what I believe can be a very, very pivotal moment for the XRP ledger and Ripple in the SEC case about making the case that the XRP ledger is and has been, in fact, decentralized. But listen to this quick clip here.
Don't trade, don't buy a scam token. Is someone offering you a token on a Telegram group, Discord group, or on Twitter? It's probably a scam. Don't trade those tokens. Don't buy them. Here's a worthless piece of shit I just drew in 1 second. Would you buy this for real money? For real XRP? No, you wouldn't. So why would you on the ledger? The vetted list with tokens is available in sum if you press the add button in your home screen. There are many more tokens, some of them trustworthy, but please do your own research. Only the vetted tokens with teams we can trust, teams with a track record, teams we vetted are in the list if you tap the add button on the sum home screen.
And there you have it. And he goes on to make it even more clear. But be very careful how you participate in anything that's happening on the XRP ledger, your own accountability. And it goes even further than that, right? He also says here, outside of the sarcasm of delivering the message, he's a very humble guy. Thank you for your heartwarming messages. They really mean a lot to the XRP Labs team. And to me personally, many have asked how they can help contribute. We gave this a lot of thought. There is a way we feel we could actually build a stronger XRP ledger together. And he goes on to show this right here, which is XRP Ledger Labs adopt an XRP Ledger node. Help XRP Ledger Labs, the company behind Sum, to improve XRP Ledger stability and availability, providing maintaining public full history and non-full history nodes. And there is packages here that you can contribute on right here. That's pretty interesting. And I'm thinking about doing that. I'm going to check into this and I will keep you posted on my contribution or not on that. I want to make sure if I do it, that absolutely will be able to consistently do it and not stop doing it. So looking right here, this is Lee from SPQR Media. Shout out to you, my friend. Within a day of this XRP ledger taking a crap, must just be a coincidence, I guess he says. Take a look here, because this is pretty interesting. Breaking here from Ganesh Hermath, Ripple integrated European central banks' new RTGS system started testing from today, full launch in November 2022, just a year away, essentially. And that is pretty damn interesting. User testing begins for new T2 systems. Prospective users forthcoming large value payment system T2 can start testing the functionalities of the system as of December 1st. The testing will run over the coming year and will allow participants to prepare for a smooth migration to the new system, which is scheduled to launch in November 2022. Oh, brother. It says down here, the new real-time gross settlement system T2 will replace the current Target 2 system in November 2022 as a part of the T2 TS consolidation project. Project also brings optimized liquidity management, which will allow participants to steer, manage, monitor central bank liquidity across all areas. So there you have it. And this is exciting stuff, I have to say, ladies and gentlemen. And it is kind of the thing that happens when you're not really looking, right? So here we go. Take a look at this. I also put in here in response to Rather Common, who starts making the point here, XRP Ledger users need to recognize who's buttering their bread. It isn't Ripple. It's the XRP Ledger Labs team, he says, and he's absolutely right. True story. And it goes to the point that the XRP Ledger is decentralized. Full stop, right? And then we come here and it's digital asset investor and John Deaton. And he asked him, the representation, the legal representation of the XRP holders in the class action lawsuit, could this moment of this ledger having issues really make the case for the SEC Ripple case and Ripple and the fact that the XRP ledger is and has been decentralized? Take in mind, we have not heard anything from Ripple. We've not heard anything from David Schwartz on this at all, really. No contribution from them because the XRP Ledger is overwatched and overseen by the nonprofit foundation, the XRP Ledger Foundation, and We'd Say When and the XRP Ledger Labs team. So with that being said, that's exactly what DAI asked John Deaton here. Let's hear what John Deaton's response to this is, and let me cue this up for us right here. One second. And here we go right here. And shout out to both of these gentlemen.
You now.
Well, I think that it's very opportunistic, and I think it could be a great thing. Listen, when you talk about a settlement, DAI, there's certain parts of a settlement, there's different components, right? And there's easy parts and there's difficult parts. The easiest part of a settlement would just simply be to identify, hey, you sold some XRP to a venture capitalist in 2013 to 2015. The ecosystem wasn't that developed. That constituted unregistered security. Boom. I can negotiate that part of it in 5 minutes, and I'm not even a securities lawyer. That's easy. The fine or settlement number, is it 25 million, 100 million, 500 million? Pick a number. That's the easy part. The hard part for any type of settlement related to this case is the ongoing and future sales of XRP, right? Because the XRP ledger was decentralized when this case was filed, and it's decentralized now. But how does the SEC, right? Because let's say that Ripple pays $100 million or more. The SEC has got a victory. Gary Gensler can say, look, we got justice. We got this huge fine and blah, blah, blah. And unregistered securities won't be allowed, right? It's a victory. But how do they get past the ongoing sales? Because let's make it clear, Brad Garlinghouse said there will be no settlement unless it is absolutely clear that ongoing and future sales of XRP are not securities. And also think about this. If there was just a settlement where Ripple paid a fine and there was no clarity, that doesn't mean Coinbase or Kraken or Binance is going to relist it. In order for XRP to be relisted, they need to know in the secondary market that they're not going to be, sued by the SEC for selling XRP. So it has to be declared that XRP today
is not a security. What an incredible exchange between those two gentlemen. And I tell you, I thank them both for having it. I think this is, look, you talk about turning lemons into lemonade here. This can be a real moment in this case to really take away the argument from the SEC claiming that the XRP ledger is in fact not decentralized, which we all know that it is. So what a remarkable point, and what a remarkable point to go on to say that there needs to be clarity, just as Brad Garlinghouse has said, because the exchanges can't list it if we don't have clarity. Now, with that being said, take a look here, because it goes on to build on to this point. If we get the decentralization argument out of the way in the case, which I believe they will one way or another, then you have to deal with the approach of the SEC itself, laying the foundation for XRP to not be a security. ProCoin News has basically picked up the video and the conversation that we've all been having here on my channel about the idea that the Reves test is a very big part of the SEC's attack on crypto itself. And they're using this case with Ripple and XRP to make the case that everything needs to go through the Howey test and the Reves test. And when something is a note, and a note can be a security and a non-security. And if it is a non-security, then you're talking about a situation where it could be looked at and treated like a bearer instrument that's a non-security, or like a Federal Reserve note, but without it being in a position to challenge the legal tender of the US dollar or any other government funds around the world. Very, very important point, because this is Barry Eichengreen. And Barry Eichengreen, who has also been an analyst and contributor to the IMF, as well as an economist himself, really, really bright guy, who has also been on Blockstar's, David Schwartz's podcast for Ripple back in 2020 of July. And we know that he has talked about the idea that some kind of moment is in front of us when it comes to monetary policy, and the idea, and I've played many times the clip here where he's talked about in an IMF webinar about the Triffin dilemma, right? About the idea that a global reserve currency, which is also a national reserve or national currency like the US dollar, will reach a point where there has to be something done because the strain on that will become too great. Now, what he talks about here is he talks about Mark Carney and the speech he gave at Jackson Hole, Wyoming, and contributed to the President's Working Group a couple years ago, suggesting that a synthetic hegemonic currency, exactly like Ripple and XRP, he actually says the name of the company and the asset XRP can be used. But listen to what Barry Eichengreen says here to set this up. Check it out.
Operability. It is not going to happen anytime soon. Alternatively, there's Mark Carney's idea, the so-called synthetic hegemonic currency, a phrase he coined, as it were, at the Federal Reserve's Jackson Hole conference in 2019. As I understand it, this is the idea that an unspecified entity, maybe the IMF, would issue a digital unit backed by a basket of national CBDCs, perhaps with the same weights as the IMF's special drawing rights. This would be an attractive alternative to the dollar as a form of international reserves, the argument goes. And if central banks held the synthetic hegemonic currency issued by the IMF as reserves, global banks, the argument goes, would find it attractive to issue securities denominated in the synthetic hegemonic currency, and importers and exporters would invoice and settle their transactions in the synthetic hegemonic currency. I think the kindest thing one can say about these arguments is that they are incomplete.
Get ready.
Central banks hold reserves in dollars because private financial transactions are conducted in dollars. And those central banks want to be able to provide dollars when the need arises. Moreover, central banks can be confident that the Federal Reserve will provide dollar swap lines and ensure adequate access to dollars in extreme events like those of September 2008 and March of 2020. Do we really think that governments and the US Congress in particular will empower the International Monetary Fund to inject large amounts of new synthetic hegemonic currency into the global financial system?
The answer is no. No, I don't, Barry. And what a great way to ask that question. I do not think that they are going to empower the IMF because the U.S. government doesn't want to see the U.S. dollar not be the global reserve currency, right? Or at least a unit of account. So what I have suggested here on this channel to the question he has asked here is that maybe we see some kind of international group like the G7, G20 put together, for which the United States is the president thereof. And maybe after so many years, it becomes a rotating presidency like it is on the G7 and G20. And to that point, I have to say, if you think of that for a moment, that is why we've talked about many times on this channel about a forced buyback of the escrow from the United States Treasury, because it would be in their best interest to do so, because it is the dollar that is in jeopardy. And as he said, it is the U.S. dollar and the Federal Reserve that are opening up swap lines in times of crisis like in 2008 and March of 2020. Now, to that point, we have to look right here because this is, if you have not seen it, Mark Carney's writings in the Group of 30, right, which is like a President's Working Group, International Group of 30, where he talks about coordinating the introduction of a global official sector stablecoin. Mark Carney said in 2019 has raised the question of whether globally coordinated synthetic hegemonic currency that Barry Eichengreen just talked about could dampen the spillover shocks associated with dominance of the U.S. dollar as a reserve currency. A synthetic hegemonic currency could, for example, be a stablecoin backed by a basket of deposits at different central banks. It is possible that such a stablecoin could be valuable for cross-border payments, serving a function similar to that offered in the private sector by Ripple, a real-time gross settlement system, currency exchange, and remittance network whose digital currency, XRP, leapfrogs slow and expensive correspondent banking. This is the former head of the Bank of England telling you this, not a podcaster, not a YouTuber like myself, the former president or head of the Bank of England telling you this and naming Ripple and XRP specifically. This is why I'm telling you that this is such a big deal about the idea, and ProCoin News, shout out to you for picking this up here and carrying the baton about XRP having a non-security designation, just like the conversation that was talked about with DAI and John Deaton, and about why it could get a note designation and still be a non-security. And maybe, and I certainly believe at this point, that the SEC and Ripple are embroiled in this understanding of this argument, in this debate behind the scenes of if XRP were to get a note designation, because we hear Gary Gensler and Hester Peirce and them talk about when something is a note due to the Reves test. And then you look at how Ripple has positioned themselves to meet the criteria of something being a note, but also being a non-security through the examples and exemptions that have been provided through judicial cases in years past. And if we do get that designation, then I think we understand that the Ripple private ledger for central banks launching central bank digital currencies isn't a threat, but a solution. That's going to do it for me. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe, leave a comment below, share with somebody you know. None of this is financial advice from me or anyone else. Check out all the links in the description box and comment section. There's great products and services I use each and every day, and they're there for you as well. I'll catch all of you on the next one.